Welcome into the Spiritual Evolution podcast. My name is Brian, and I just wanted to get in real quick to talk about Rudolf Steiner and what he was projecting for our time now. So, Rudolf Steiner told us in 1909 in the Gospel of Luke lectures, lecture 8, that at the time, the etheric body had basically gone the closest it's ever gone in the history of human evolution to the physical body that it was ever going to get. Actually, in 1909, it was a little bit past this point. So it was just starting to loosen from the physical body at this time. It got closest to the physical body during the war in heaven from 1840 to 1841 to 1879, and that it was ever going to become more and more loosened into the future, and that more and more become independent of the physical body, especially as humanity rushed toward the future. This was going to continue to happen. And as part of this, humanity is collectively and unconsciously, for the most part, crossing the threshold into the spiritual world. And that is leading to many psychological conditions. And this requires a strengthening of our I organization. When you cross the threshold, thinking, feeling, and willing, which are part of our soul life, tend to separate. And when they separate, they can also end up, you can end up having disassociation. So you can end up having these come back together and collide with each other. And so what you do need them to come back together, but you, in a way, in a healthy way, through the I organization. So through the I, which is the spirit of the human being, the self actually needs to hold the balance of all three of these soul life parts. It doesn't just happen naturally anymore with the loosening of the etheric and with that pulling of humanity across into the spiritual, into more of a spiritual reality within themselves, even if they don't know it. And so to address this problem, I believe that I can say that Rudolf Steiner said that humanity needs spiritual science. But what aspects of spiritual science do we need? Because there's so many aspects. So people might be curious of, well, where do I start? And I would recommend, if you're interested in this topic, to check out a book called Start Now, a book of spiritual and soul exercises from Rudolf Steiner and put together by Christopher Banford. This book will take you through a series of different exercises you can do, which will help you to strengthen the self and strengthen the I. So in anthroposophy, we call these the 6 essential exercises, and they are really the most important, probably, part of life as someone who is on the spiritual path. But now that we are all being pulled across the threshold, I believe we all need these exercises because we need to strengthen ourselves. We need to strengthen our I organization so that the I can organize the soul in a better way. So we're really having right now, and how can we prove, right? How can we prove that Rudolf Steiner, um, how can we prove that he was correct in saying this? Um, how can we prove this? Well, we can prove this by just looking at things that are happening in our time. We can prove this by seeing all of the psychological illness that we're seeing. Um, we can see this in all the obsessive compulsive disorder issues we're seeing, all the anxiety we're seeing, all of the different physical illnesses. These are really a result of people being pulled across the threshold and not being prepared for that experience and not understanding what is going on. And so what we need is the six essential exercises. And we also need potentially to start to do other exercises, which might include meditation, which might include a concentration exercise, which might include a backwards review of your day every day, and a non-judgmental, objective way, as if you were someone else witnessing your own life and actions from, the top of a mountain somewhere, looking down, seeing your own um, actions and things that you did throughout the day. These are just some of the exercises that are recommended from Rudolf Steiner, and I think that they're vitally important for our time. Controlling our thoughts, having more of a solid thought control, being able to control our feeling, right? Being able to have equanimity and not always be up in the sky and down, on the ground in terms of our emotions, to have more of a equanimity even through those emotions, to just be able to witness them, experience them, and you can still experience them deeply, but to be able to have a balance within those. Um, Control of our actions, right? We don't want to be making a decision so quickly. We want to be able to um, hold on to a potential decision, create a pros and cons list, maybe, write about your potential decision, maybe even if it's you know, something you have to, even the smallest thing that you would think, oh, I don't need to think about this. We should we should do that. We don't want to just impulsively do things. And it's very difficult, because in today's world, we are exposed to things that can make us impulsive, can give us an impulsive desire, or um, and that's where thinking can get sort of tumbled and jumbled into our will, where we might have a fantasy or a thought, and we want to make that thought a reality. And so rather than just witnessing the thought, not allowing it to get down into our feeling and willing, it actually goes straight through the feeling into the will and causes us to act. So that's something that's happening more and more nowadays, and especially with smartphones and computers and technology. With the loosening of the etheric body, the human being is more also exposed to the external reality of the world, and being more exposed to and having the external reality so technological is really exposing us to these forces, these elemental, um, etheric forces. You could call them Ahrimanic forces. And being more exposed to those, it causes the will and the thinking life to cross into each other. And so it's something that we all just need to understand. And a lot of people run to potentially antidepressants, and they may shut off their soul life completely, which potentially is what antidepressants do. I don't really know on a spiritual level as much as I would like to about that, but I do think that um, they tend to more or less shut you off from the spiritual realities, or at least push it further down into the unconscious realm. And what we really want to do is we want to be conscious of this spiritual world experience that we're having in our everyday life, because more and more people are becoming clairvoyant, not in the sense that they can see into the Akashic record or something like Steiner, but more of the things I'm talking about here, where we're experiencing our thinking, our feeling, and our willing in more of a conscious way, um, or worse, potentially unconscious way. Most people is unconscious right now, but it will become more and more conscious. So in the world, I think we really need an anthroposophic psychology for this. And I will be participating in an anthroposophical psychology course, um, the Association for Anthroposophic Psychology, the AAP program. It's a 3-year program, so I will be certified after the program as an anthroposophic psychologist. And I don't take that possibility lightly. And so I think it's vital in our time to focus on these basics of anthroposophy, not only for the potential clients that we could have as anthroposophic psychologists or as counselors, but for ourselves, so that we can um, potentially get to a point of understanding ourselves on a deeper level, and understanding the world and the cosmos on a deeper level. And so yeah, that's what I wanted to say today. Hopefully you got something out of the video. If you did, please like and subscribe if you would like to. And have a great rest of your day.